Welcome to this podcast episode brought to you by the Treasury Today Group. On the 17th of July, Treasury Today's annual Women in Treasury and Finance APAC Forum took place at the prestigious Four Seasons Hotel in Singapore. The event was hosted by Sophie Jackson, CEO of Treasury Today Group, and Meg Coates, Publisher and Operations Director. The agenda included a special presentation for this year's Within Awards, as well as an insightful panel discussion. Meg opened the event by highlighting Treasury Today Group's commitment to advancing women in Treasury and finance.
Treasury Today Group is female-founded and female-led, and so Women in Treasury and Finance was a natural evolution for us. Establishing a platform to pioneer gender equity in corporate treasury and finance, and to create a community where you can share your experiences and encourage each other's professional development.
The welcome reception was followed by an awards presentation celebrating this year's APAC winners of our 2025 Within Awards.
I'd like to kick us off now by celebrating our first award, and that is, as I mentioned, the Champion of Change. So I'm really happy that we could be joined today by the overall winner of this category, and that is Vinita Nair, Head of M&A, Treasury and Insurance at Hindustan Unilever.
So I'm now excited to present our next award, and that is Leading Light for the APAC region, where we're delighted to recognise our overall winner today, and that's Jennifer Doherty, Managing Director, COO, Transaction Banking at Standard Chartered.
Next, Sophie hosted this year's panel discussion, which featured 4 inspirational industry experts.
I'm delighted to be joined today by Vinita Nair, Head of Mergers and Acquisitions, Treasury and Insurance at Hindustan Unilever, Jing Zhang, Executive Director, APAC Head of FIG's Trade Sales at JP Morgan, Sarah Lowe, Vice President and Volunteer Director at Primetime Business and the Professional Women's Association and consultant, and last but certainly not least, Sunday Domingo, Global Head, Digital Channel Solutions, Transaction Banking, CIB at Standard Chartered.
The panellists spoke about their individual backgrounds and career paths.
I want to come Sunday to you first. So you began your career in the Philippines, your native country. Tell us a little bit about your early start, moving to Singapore, and how that transition in culture affected your advancement.
So I started my career in the Philippines doing what we call cash management implementations. And what this really meant, I was fresh out of university. I went around corporate treasurers, corporate clients' offices, and I was responsible for implementing electronic banking. Back then, it was Windows software. So I would go around with diskettes, and corporate clients would use electronic banking software to actually dial up through a modem. Who remembers modems? and to be able to send their transactions into the bank and download their information. So it's quite interesting that my role now actually is still building digital products and digital channel solutions, except now it's not just diskettes or modems, but we're working with Gen AI and blockchain and APIs. So yeah, it's been really full circle, but it's the people that you meet along the way, I think, that really makes it super rich.
I think when we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, if you stay in a monoculture for all of your career, you might think about the things that make you different as gender or ethnicity, but actually being in a totally different culture forces you to take nothing for granted. So Jing, that brings me nicely to speak to you, because you grew up in China and then you moved very young to America, and now you're here. So tell us a little bit about that experience.
I think the biggest career risk I took was actually after I became an employee at the JP Morgan New York, and this was going through the MBA at University of Pennsylvania, and then I joined JP Morgan during the great financial crisis in 2008, 2009, received a full-time offer to go back after summer internship. And after 3 years in New York, I need to make a decision if I want to continue with JP Morgan head office, which many people would probably have chosen that, or go where the growth is, which is Singapore and Asia. It's very important to have a network and have that support at the beginning of a career and look for that advice. And the biggest advice I think I got is think about where the growth is, think about where the clients are, think about where the businesses go in the next 10 to 15 years in their career. So I think I made the right choice.
I feel like the longer I've gone on this journey, the more you realise that you can't escape where you start, and knowledge of it and powerfully owning it is what makes you a great leader, in my opinion. So with that in mind, Vanita, tell us your origin story.
I think the most formative years that I've spent is knowing that my mom was full of dreams, ambitions, but at a certain point she had to take a step away from the corporate life to say, I need to raise these two girls and I'm not able to balance both of these out. And that was a defining moment for both my sister and me, to realize that she put a lot of her dreams on hold. So everything that's come my way, I've always had this drive and purpose to say it's not just my dream, it's hers as well, and hence I need to really make it count. And that's made me hungry and curious for every opportunity.
Sarah, I want to come to you now. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you've arrived at the work you're doing today, because you've got a broad portfolio.
Well, I actually grew up in the northwest of England, near Liverpool, which is a port city, a little bit like Singapore. And I was a teenager in the 70s, so probably a little bit before some of you were actually born, I suspect. But I became quite fascinated because it was a time of real industrial unrest and quite a lot of political upheaval. And my father worked in the port, actually, and he was dealing day in, day out with highly unionised environments, versus my friends' fathers, who actually worked at Lever Brothers, who then became Unilever. And that was a very, very different sort of work environment. So that really all fascinated me, and that kind of translated into a career in HR. And honestly, I had an absolutely fabulous career at Fidelity. I met and married my Singaporean husband about nearly 30 years ago. And actually that union opened up a whole new world to me.
The discussion turned to the tools and strategies women can use to learn and evolve.
I think because I work a lot with technology and engineering teams, many times I do walk into a room and I'm the only woman. Sometimes I'm the only Asian. Very often I'm the only one, or almost all the time, I'm the only one who doesn't know how to write code, because I didn't study coding, I studied economics. But after a while I realized, hey, actually, because I'm different than all of them, that is my superpower. I have ideas they don't have, I have perspectives that they cannot bring, and I started to lean into my difference and I became more confident.
I've done very different roles, from investor relations to business finance to sales, sustainability reporting, now M&A, treasury. Each of these have their own skill sets, and had I doubted myself every time when I was told, why don't you pick this different and niche role, I wouldn't have been sitting here today. So I think it's to have the courage to believe in yourself that you don't know something today, but then go behind it, preparing like your life depends on it, because that's an opportunity you've been given.
I think everybody is a shining star in our own ways, in the sense that we all have some unique strengths and we have value add. Of course, we create our own luck, right? Because we need to be prepared when the opportunities arrive. We need to work hard. We need to know everything that we're supposed to know in business and finance. That said, beyond that, we need to know ourselves. I think that's the most important thing, is know ourselves, know what we want to do, what our inspiration is, where do I draw my energy? Do I get my energy by studying or research myself, or do I get to by speaking to people, in events like this? I think we start from know ourselves, and then we play to our strengths, and then you will see we can create our own luck.
And we were talking earlier, weren't we, Sunday? AI is something that's here. It's not going to go away. I think it's about sort of embracing it, and actually, but thinking about sort of where can you make a difference? And there's something for me, it wouldn't surprise you, around sort of, our human side. Absolutely. Particularly, as females, I think we can do a lot in terms of actually developing our soft skills and making a difference in the workplace. So my encouragement to you all is keep going, keep leaning in, be the great role models for the younger generation coming through, and also be great mentors as well.
A big thank you to this year's panellists, Vanita, Jing, Sunday and Sarah, and to everyone who joined us on the day. Thanks also to our sponsors JP Morgan and Standard Chartered, our supporters Barclays and MUFG, and to the ACTS for their endorsement. If you would like to hear more of our podcast episodes, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And if you would like to be part of the conversation, join our Women in Treasury and Finance community on LinkedIn.